Yo, what is going on, boys? So we officially have Oniland coming out on the 24th, so in a few days, so I thought I'd go ahead and drop the event guide over here. And you'll have to forgive me if I'm a little sniffly or something today, because it is like the first day over where I live where it's fallen below 50 degrees, so, I'm getting the sniffles a little bit, It's kind of hitting me a little bit, so forgive me for that, or if I sound a little different as I record this video, but, still going to come out here and bring the daily FGO content. Speaking of, if you enjoy FGO content, I do upload every single day, and all I ask for in return is a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel. Now, if you're feeling extra feisty, you can click that join button to become a channel member. But with that being said, I have quite a few tabs pulled up here for the good old Oniland, but this is not a very scary event. Nothing too, intense for us to unpack over here. Impact, bro, that's not even the right word. Anyway, this is going to be a pretty mellow event. Shouldn't be too difficult for most people to get through. I mean, I think the only annoying thing is that you have to clear, what is it, Lost Belt 2? Yeah, actually, it's right there on the screen. You have to clear Lost Belt 2 to actually do this event. So that's the only annoying thing. Make sure you get that done. Thankfully, Lost Belt 1 and 2 aren't the most difficult things to get through, so you should be able to kind of friendless scum your way through that if you need to bum people off of your friends list. And we have people in the Discord that if, you're a newer player and you're like, oh, I don't have the good enough servants to get through this, I'm sure there's people in the Discord you can add that'll, definitely be able to carry you through Lost Belt 1 and 2. But anyway, once you get into this event, the main drive here is that you're going to be getting Shoe 10 Caster for free. This is basically like, hey, you don't have your own Sanzo or anything, like, here's a pretty decent single target caster over here at free NP5, and she's definitely pretty good. We'll talk about her when she gets her own video in like a day or so or something like that, but she's definitely a very good prize to get for this event, and it's, again, not all that painful to get through. It's pretty nice. Like, it's nice to not have like a super cancerous event to get through. A very nice follow-up to something like Gilfest, right, where Gilfest everybody was farming mad hard. This is definitely a more lax event that you can go ahead and get through. I mean, the only annoying thing is that there is a point ladder. I guess if you want to say that that's a little annoying, but it's not like Summer 3 where there's 3-point ladders, or even like Summer 6 right now on JP where it's like there's a point ladder, but you have to farm another material to roll a lottery to then get points on that point ladder. Like, it's nothing like that. It's just like, hey, play the game and you're gonna get some points on that point ladder. It's really not all that bad. Then over here, we have some of the free-to-play CEs you're going to be able to pick up. I mean, none of them are really going to be super great outside of the event. Like, you can see this one, it gives you Ignore Invincibility. Like, that's nice. If you're a newer player and you don't have one of these CEs that just gives you permanent Ignore Invincibility, these are very good CEs to start picking up now, because there's going to be a lot of fights in the game where an enemy has, something like permanent dodge, or like dodge for 20 hits, or, 20 hits of invincibility, or just something annoying like that. And having a CE that just says, permanently you get Pierce Invincibility, Pierce Defense, Sure Hit, things along those lines, they're just always really nice to have. Because then you're not limited to who you can bring to that fight, and you don't really have to care about one of the main mechanics in that fight. Because usually when a boss has a mechanic like that, it's usually what they're built around. It's built to like stall you down while they build up or something. So just being able to completely ignore that because they're giving out this free CE is definitely going to be useful to a lot of players. But if you're more of a veteran player, you probably already have a CE with Pierce Invincibility. The one that really comes to mind is the Altera one from like the first Christmas event that gives you like 50% starting gauge and Pierce Invincibility. That's probably one of the better ones to get. I'm sure there's gonna be people that are gonna be like, well, actually, what about like the one that gives you divine damage in Pierce Invincibility? Like, look, there's quite a few of them. Okay, we can agree to disagree on which one's the best. I like my starting gauge and my Pierce Invincibility, but regardless, this is probably gonna be the most useful to a lot of people. This is probably going to be a lot of people's favorites because, gee, I wonder why, bro. But these are important for the event because they're massively buffing up the card damage that you're doing, and that's somewhat important in this event. But I mean, not super important. Like, I wouldn't like lose sleep over it or anything. But it is notable, so you do want to pick up those CEs. You do want to get them done. Then we have the raid up over here. So if you're interested in summoning for some servants and you're like, who's going to be coming out for Oniland rerun? Well, you have Shuten Doji, you have Setenai, and then you have both Ibarakis. Honestly, considering what we're going to be getting upcoming in like the next couple of days, or not next couple of days, but next couple of like weeks and months, I would highly recommend skipping out on this banner. Because if we go over here to the upcoming banner list, I mean, dude, you're going to have Space Ishtar, which honestly, my recommendation is to just kind of like skip out on this, because she's not really going to be like super relevant until next year when Castoria is out. So I think you can afford to skip her this year if you're going to try to summon for people like Scotty, Astolfo Saber, because, you know, I can't stop people from summoning for Astolfo. Like, I'm going to say that he's like an okay servant. He's not a must summon, but people are going to summon for him. They're going to go crazy. Super Orion's really good. And then, you know, then we move into like the New Year gacha, where you just have like all of these like really top tier servants coming out. So in the midst of all of this, right, like an MHX altar is going to be getting a rate up, and if you already have Scotty, or if you plan on summoning on both of these banners, she's like redonkulous with Scotty. This banner just doesn't really hold up. It's just not quite the best thing to be spending your quartz on unless you really like some of these characters. Unless someone here is like in particular one of your favorite characters, then I could, you know, see people summoning for it on this banner. And it's not like any of these servants are like particularly bad or anything either. Like Shu 10's going to be getting a buff here, not like soon, but she will be getting one, and it's going to give her like a 30% battery, which isn't bad. Sitanai's not terrible. Like, I know she's really divisive for her usage, because people either think she's like pretty good, or they think she's absolute dog water. I fall into like the decent category. I find that like sometimes she kind of is a little underwhelming, but I still think generally she's fine, but not necessarily like a must summon servant. And then Berserker and Lancer Ibaraki are both just pretty solid servants overall. Like there's nothing like super special about them, but they're, you know, they're just very solid servants, right? Like they're just very decent, and you could definitely get some use out of them. So if you do summon on this banner, I mean, decent, not like the most high value banner ever, but I mean, you could get some use out of these servants. Like they're all pretty decent. Then we move over. Just wanted to note that like the free quests are all like pretty normal. Like as you can see, all of these are just like standard 333 nodes. So you don't have to worry about any like, oh man, I'm gonna have like some very odd 222 node or a 213 node or anything like that. The only thing that it should be noted though is that the enemies, you'll notice their HP is really high. Like it's at like 300k. So you're really gonna want to focus on trying to use some of those event damage bonus CEs. Or you want to focus on some of the event damage servants, which I believe are... Actually, do we not have any for this one? I could have sworn there was one. It appears not. It appears not. Okay. Could have sworn there was one, but I guess that's because they're giving us the CEs that we're not... Oh, there they are. I was like, dude, we always get event damage people. Oh, so they don't do damage, though. Interesting. Interesting. Well, except for this lady, the caster, right? They're just giving us bonds. So yeah, I guess the whole point that they're going for is that like they really want you to use the CEs, and they really want you to use like the Shu 10 because she's the only one that gets the damage, but she's not AoE or anything. So I mean, yeah, like you're just gonna need some like very strong servants to kind of get through a lot of this. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like, what servants are going to be really good for, like, blasting a lot of this, and it's like, people are going to be like, maybe Buster Farming is going to finally make that comeback, so you just have really chunky servants. Again, my biggest recommendation is just try to make use of those CEs of, like, the big boy, like, the Ku one for the quick, the Artoria for the arts, and then the, I don't even know who to call this, what, the Poxy one? the Shiro one in the background, because he's in the background there. Whatever, that one for the Buster buff. So, yeah, other than that, like, other than like the end bosses having like very high HP, at the very worst, right? If you're 4 turning it, or if you're like 3 turning it with like a strong Brave Chain, I think you'll be fine. Like, I think you'll get along just fine. Like, I wouldn't stress about it too much. Again, very like mellow event. That's the only thing you really got to worry about. Also wanted to make sure I like put out a public service announcement for this, that like this is going to be a very good place to do your farming, because as you can see, it drops not only like the event ladder points, but then it drops all of the currency. It drops a hefty bit of QP as well if you didn't get enough from the Guildfest event. And then you have decent mats that it drops, especially like the eggs. I know people are like kind of annoyed at farming like the eggs already, so just keep in mind that like this raid will pop up, and that this is where you should be spending a lot of your, like, AP and whatever, because, like, this is going to be, like, a really, really good place to start farming. And you could probably blow this up in one turn. It shouldn't really be that hard. Like, I imagine if you just have, like, a solid single target servant, and you just buff them as much as you can, you could probably blow this person up, especially with some of these event damage CEs. So, like, really shouldn't be that hard. And then finally, we come down to the challenge quest, which I did a little bit of looking into because I haven't done this in quite a while. It's been about a year since I've done this, so I have to go refresh my memory on it. But it's looking like it's one of those quests where if you're kind of struggling a little bit, you just bring a good old Arjuna altar and just blow everybody up. So, yeah, because as you can see, they're not, like, really doing anything super insane. It's like, oh, removes all debuffs and then gets buff success rate up. Ooh, that's real scary right there. Grants every unit on the battlefield attack damage and defense for 3 turns. Ooh, dude. Oh man, dude, we're really rolling in challenging content now. And maybe I'm just being kind of I don't know, being a little snarky, right? Because we just got out of Gilfest, and dude, there were some of those that I didn't even finish. There were some of them that I was like, screw this, man. I'm not doing this. This is too annoying. So there were some of them that I was like, man, bump this. I'm going to go back to farming boxes, dude. But yeah, this shouldn't really be all that difficult for people to get through. And yeah, I think with that being said, prepare for a kind of mellow, relaxed event. Get your Shu 10 caster if you're a new player. She's pretty solid. I'll do a video on her, and yeah, I guess that's really it. Let me know what you guys are planning on doing for Oniland, if you're going to be farming it pretty hard, or if you're just going to be taking it casual, which is what I'm recommending. Yeah, just let me know all that in the comments down below. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace, light, guys.